Hello and welcome to Storyboard. I'm Shubhani Gharat. The 70th Cannes Lions Festival of Creativity concluded last week, where the creme de la creme of advertising and marketing flocked the French Riviera. Indian agencies picked up a total of 25 medals at Cannes Lions this year, with Leo Burnett, Ogilvy and FCB Group leading this year's tally. Though India's performance this year was not even a patch on last year's outstanding wins, there was much celebration when Ogilvy Mumbai picked up a Grand Prix in the Creative Effectiveness category for Shah Rukh Khan My Ad for Cadbury celebrations, and was also named the Agency of the Year for Strategy.
How does it feel? The first Grand Prix of the year.
Woo!
And for creative effectiveness, right? The ultimate test of a creative idea. Come on, tell us more about it.
Absolutely, it's the highest ranking Grand Prix amongst the hierarchy of Cannes Lions, and this feels fabulous.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, thank you, Shah Rukh Khan, for making
Shah Rukh.
250,000 ad campaigns our one campaign.
Thank you, Shah Rukh.
Thank you.
Thank you to our teams back home.
Yes, and to all the teams who are watching from the office, we love you.
Team India.
Yes,
Team
love
India.
Now, two agencies struck gold. FCB Group picked up one on the second day for untangling the politics of hair for stir in the industry craft category, and Leo Burnett backed a gold for 175 replayed for Airtel on the fourth day in the brand experience and activation category.
Congratulations, Raj, Dheeraj. What an awesome win. Tell us more. Tell us what you're feeling, everything that's going on right now. A big win for India.
Yeah, can you see the line or not? No, I think it's amazing. It's really amazing. You know, 175. It's been a long project. I think it's 2 years in making, and some grey hairs of Dheeraj, and Spiky lost some hair, length of the hair, and yeah, it's amazing because you're creating the history back, but it's you're proud of it. The world understand what you feel when you made this, when you made Kapil Dev back to action and seeing the young Kapil Dev making that 175. And this is the proof to that.
Dheeraj, give us a reaction. Tell us.
So,
tell us
I mean,
everything.
obviously it's a fantastic feeling, right? You can see I'm getting goosebumps. And honestly, because I was so part of this production, I learned CG pretty much on how to do on this. But when we were doing the project, right, what we were motivated was that how can tech help bring a part of cultural history back to India, and that's what we are fascinated about. We are not fascinated about pure tech, pure data, pure AI, but how can AI, how can data, how can tech solve for larger human problems in markets such as India? And if you look at, that's the theme which is playing for us through the Cannes Lions this year. So this is for bringing a cultural part of history back. What we are winning for Lay's, right? A lot of silvers across categories, Pepsi, Biochar and Smart Farm that Raj has been personally working on is again about using tech and data to solve for farmers, right? The people who put food on our table. So I think that's really the vindication for us. We've been building this agency for last 5 years. This is what we wanted to build. We wanted to win for sustainability, for data, for tech, for activation,
For innovation.
So say 30 shortlists, right?
11
Huge amount of conversions. I'm happy. We could go back today.
Now, wins apart, we had a lot of interesting conversations around this year's Cannes Lions, and two of them are in this week's episodes. Both conversation with powerful women at the helm of iconic agencies. First one is with Kristen Cavallo, Global CEO, Mullen Group, and here she decodes the future of creativity and the business of creativity. Listen in. Hello and welcome to CNBC-TV18. Kristen, it's lovely to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So we are at, of course, the Mecca of Creativity, Cannes Lions. I want to just quickly ask you, what are some of the key trends in media, advertising, marketing that you have your eye on, and something that you've been sort of talking to clients about? What's on your radar right now?
Sure. Well, definitely lots of conversations about AI and the potential impact, some certain drawbacks in terms of intellectual property infringement or consumer data privacy. But for the most part, I think we're talking and hearing a lot about how AI has the power to supercharge the creative industry and certainly have a really big impact with consumers in terms of how we map consumer behaviors, trends, and how we measure those consumer trends as well. The other big thing that I feel like I'm hearing a lot about is influencer marketing. Mm-hmm. And certainly that's going to have a huge impact on India. You have such a youth culture and such a large target audience that really, when something happens there, you're setting the trends for the rest of the world. Sure. So that's really exciting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting you mentioned, of course, we'll come to the bit about AI, but a little bit about influencer marketing first. We're seeing a lot of regulation come in. There's lots of scrutiny, whether it's, brand messages going with the right influencer, and also in terms of government regulations, and they're under the scanner right now. What are you sort of hearing on that front? What's happening there? If you could give me a global perspective, perhaps, and how that affects what you do.
Sure. I think definitely we're seeing, I think there was a real rush to influencer marketing 5 years ago. And certainly at its best, influencer marketing can establish a level of trust and credibility. But in some cases, I think the rush was so much that maybe some certain influencers weren't vetted appropriately. And so there's been a bit of a backlash, a bit of a pushback. And what's really interesting is in those moments of pushback, how does the company react? Do they stand their ground and explain why they chose who they chose, or do they backpedal? Mm-hmm. And we're seeing in some cases that if a brand doesn't stand their ground, they have the potential to lose both sides when it comes to credibility. You lose the sense of maybe being seen as an ally for the community that you are standing up for, or you lose the sense of new growth that you're looking at. So it does just add a constant reminder that agencies and clients really need to vet the influencers they're working with. In our industry, there is such a speed, and those two things are they're at tension, they're at odds often, because the news cycle is 48 hours, 72 hours, and the brands that win the most news cycles tend to grow the fastest.
Let me get to another sort of question that I want to ask you, because this is something that Lintas has been leading the charge on for quite a while, which is purpose-driven marketing. There has, of course, it's been celebrated and criticized in equal measure. Where do you see purpose in advertising going in the coming months, coming years, given that it's been such a dominant theme for the past decade, but we've also seen some pushback?
We have seen some pushback. The interesting thing is the pushback tends to be from the older generations. The younger generations, who tend to buy with more purpose orientation in mind, they tend to buy the brands that take a stand. I know that that's one of the things, a phrase that Lintas uses quite a bit, brands that take a stand. And I think that the youth market does believe that they don't have to choose between a brand that stands for something and what they choose to purchase. And so I believe that it's going to continue. I do. I also think it's the right thing. There's so many good choices in every category today. We're no longer dealing with 1 or 2 or 3 competitors per category. There are many. And so sometimes the way to differentiate beyond price is your purpose. And I think we all want to get to a point where we're not just being bought because we're the cheapest or the most expensive. You want to get bought because you align with someone's belief
system. Absolutely. And since we started talking about India, of course, let me talk to you about what's happening in the Indian market. What's your take on it? Where do you see the growth coming from? Where some of the areas that you're investing in, be it talent or some other solutions, services, in your global scheme of things, where do you see the Indian market?
I believe that India is laying the groundwork, especially when it comes to digital payments, digital banking, influencer marketing, just because of the sheer scale of the Indian market, that it is ahead of the curve. And we know that brands that tend to lean into innovation grow faster, and brands that continue to keep the pace of innovation grow 7 times faster. So to me, where we place our bets in the Indian market is towards technology, towards innovation, because the rest of the world is going to follow.
Lovely, lovely. Well, it was lovely chatting with you, Kristen.
Thank you so
much for your time.
It is time for a short break. On the other side, we have Ogilvy's Global CEO Devika Bulchandani and Liz Taylor, Global Chief Creative Officer, speak about their power partnership.
It's straight